MSNBC and the establishment is still mad about the critique. They talk now about what Rashida Tlaib is doing and joining this campaign of Uncommitted, and watch the Negro servant be the most upset again. Let's watch this.
So in a new video, it was posted to X, Democratic Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib is telling her constituents to vote uncommitted instead of voting for President Biden in the Michigan primary, Dawn. Any concerns that Michigan voters who followed Tlaib's advice think it applies to the general election too?
No, well, yes, because you're talking to a voter who's not extraordinarily informed, and there might be some confusion there. But let's talk about how the realities of politics works in Washington, D.C. I got a lot of friends and family in Detroit. I care a lot about that proud Black community. What up, though, to all the folks in Detroit? When Jalen Rose Leadership Academy and Wayne State and Cass Tech don't get the proper appropriations from the Democratic administration, the Democratic president, remember it's because your Democratic congresswoman told them to not vote for the Democratic president in the primary. And she won't have the excuse that, well, I was saying primary, not general. You don't slap the president in the face and then expect to be treated as a member of the caucus in good standing. And so Rashida Tlaib is not there to represent the squad. She's not there to represent Palestine. While there's merit in all those things, you're there to represent your hometown constituency in the city of Detroit. And I will tell all my friends and family in Detroit that your congresswoman has failed you and frankly embarrassed you, and there could potentially be ramifications.
So, David, given Dawn saying that, little concern this could spill over, this advice and this suggestion from Rashida Tlaib could spill over to the general election, how much could the opposition in general from within his own party hurt President Biden in the campaign?
Could defeat Joe Biden. I'm a Sunday optimist. I don't like to be a sourpuss, but if you want to see Donald Trump beat Joe Biden, then you have voices of Charlemagne and Rashida Tlaib questioning Joe Biden's leadership, suggesting he's not fit for re-election. That's how you do it. Democrats beating themselves.
Not the genocide.
Right now, Democrats have been given a historic opportunity with an alliance of independents and disaffected Republicans.
Not the genocide. Joe Biden is going to lose because Charlemagne the God had a critique. Because Rashida Tlaib said not to vote for him in the primary. It has nothing to do with the genocide, though. Not the bodies, sir. These people are mad. You notice how mad they are? The Black guy and the guy on the far right. Now, the girl, she's a Republican. The guy on the far right, he's a never Trumper. Like Lincoln Project type of Republican. Then you have the Negro servant. All of them are upset at Charlemagne the God and Rashida Tlaib. Let's listen and let it finish out.
I'm a Sunday optimist. I don't like to be a sourpuss, but if you want to see Donald Trump beat Joe Biden, then you have voices of Charlemagne and Rashida Tlaib questioning Joe Biden's leadership, suggesting he's not fit for re-election. That's how you do it. Democrats beating themselves. I mean, right now, Democrats have been given a historic opportunity with an alliance of independents and disaffected Republicans that showed up with the Democratic coalition in 18 and 20 and 22. And you're telling me going into 2024 that a sitting Democratic congresswoman and a leading voice on the left are going to say, nah, we don't know about our guy. Maybe we shouldn't support him. That's a bunch of hot garbage, Alex. And if those voices don't fall in line, don't expect the coalition to be there in November that you need to defeat Donald Trump.
So, I mean, is there something to say about that? Like, if you get people to do it in the primary, wouldn't that empower them to say, you know what, in the general election, I'm not going to vote for him either? That's the logic that these two people have. But the logic of the people who are doing the campaign, the uncommitted campaign, is that let's take them through the emotions. In order to get somebody to vote for Genocide Joe, you can't just go from step 1 to step 7. You need to go through the emotions. One of the emotions is anger, getting it out, getting your frustrations out, so that in November they can vote for them. So, it's a gamble, I guess. But it is pissing off a lot of people in the establishment. This from the Hill. The headline reads: Dearborn mayor slams Biden on Israel Gaza. Quote, this betrayal feels uniquely un-American. And this article was written after the UN vote the UN vetoed the U.S. vetoed in a UN resolution a ceasefire. So this is the reaction to that, and let's read the snippet along the right side here. President Biden has proven many of our worst fears about our government true. That regardless of how loud your voice may be, how many calls to government officials you make, how many peaceful protests you organize and attend, nothing will change, he said. Quote, my greatest fear is that Mr. Biden will not be remembered as the president who saved democracy in 2020, but rather as the president who sacrificed it for Benjamin Netanyahu in 2024. The mayor argued that the majority of Americans want a ceasefire in the Middle East and that the president and members of Congress are ignoring polling on that. Quote, this betrayal feels uniquely un-American. When conflict shoved them out of their homes, many Dearborn parents fled to Michigan to Michigan in pursuit of the American dream and the promise that their voices would be heard and valued. Today, we instill in our children the American aspiration of standing on the side of justice for all people everywhere, he said. The op-ed was published a week before the Michigan Democratic primary. There's a growing movement among progressive groups and Arab American grassroots organizations in Michigan urging supporters to cast their ballot for uncommitted in order to send a message. So that's a snippet from the article that's written by the Dearborn mayor. So there's a lot of organizing going on in Michigan around organizing against Genocide Joe.